All right, congratulations. You are now done. You've gone through and you've watched all of these Ed puzzles, and you have filled in all of the religious question sheets, or all of the question sheets, I should say, all seven, and turned them in, and I've looked at them, and your map is done. You are officially done with all of the work you need to do. So now you are ready to pick a project. You're going to go over here and you are going to click on the sign up. And the sign up can be found here. I'll have it available for you. And it says project sign up sheet. And this will be made available. You're going to click on this and open it. And then you're going to write your name and your partner's names right here. So it's Alan Sitomer, Kurt Morris, and Doug Buell. That's a power team right there. And we are going to do the Punic Wars. All right. So me, Kurt Morris, I'm done. And my friends Alan and Doug are with me. Now I'm going to sit down with Mr. Morris after I pick my topic, and we are going to come up with some questions. So they have to be what, why, or how questions. Well, in sitting down and talking with Mr. Morris, the first question Alan had was, what were the Punic Wars? That's what he's going to be looking up. What were the Punic Wars? Now, in dealing with me, Mr. Morris said, well, what do you want to do, Kurt? And I said, well, I want to do, why did Rome win these wars? Okay, so that's my section I'm going to be doing. That's my body paragraph. And then finally over here, Doug Buell is going to ask, how did Hannibal almost destroy Rome? Now, those are three great questions, and they are going to direct our subclaim questions for the Punic Wars. Now, our overall essential question, and don't worry about it, I will work with you. I even have it right here. Move forward without this for right now. But eventually it's going to be, what were the reasons the Punic Wars were important? Okay, so we're going to get there later. But right now, these three research questions are going to drive our topic, the Punic Wars. Okay, we are done. Now comes time for research, right? Well, we're going to open up our project's Cornell note sheet, and I'm going to fill in my name. Now, each one of you are going to have your own notes if you're working with partners. Now, I'm working with three people, so I'm only going to worry about this section because I only have to do one. Now, if you want to, you could share this with your two partners up here. Matter of fact, that's what I want you to do. Share it with your two partners. So I'm going to share this with Alan, and I'm going to share this with Doug. So now Alan is going to be working on this section. And then, of course, Doug will get the last section, the third question. He'll be doing that. So we're all working on the same Cornell note sheet. And we, or I, will turn it in, and all three of our names will be on it. So up here, I'm going to write Kurt, Alan, Doug. Here, we're class period 2. Here is the date we're doing our notes. Here, it's going to say the Punic Wars. And our essential question, I will write it when we get to it. But you already know what my subclaim question is going to be. My subclaim question is, why did Rome win the wars? So, why did Rome win the wars? I'm going to write right here. And then any URLs I use are going to go here. My what, why, and how. And then, of course, my summary here. Now, next to me is going to be Alan. And Alan's doing, what were the Punic Wars? He's going to write, what were the Punic Wars right here? And then, of course, his URLs. And then finally, the last is the same thing for Doug on the bottom. So all three of our note sections are together on the same Cornell notes, the same. Now, let's go to the kiosk. Here are the Punic Wars kiosk, and this is where we're going to get our information. Now, my question is, why did Rome win the wars? Well, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go here. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to jump right into why did Rome win the Punic Wars? And I'm going to use this article. Okay? Now, I'm also going to watch this clip. Either way, I'm going to go through and I'm going to get my information, my what, my why, and my how. And they don't have to be from the same thing. I could get my what from here. I could get my why from here. And I could get my how from here. So I can use 3 different sources to get my what, my why, and my how. Now, if I choose to do that, which I absolutely can, I need to make sure that I have all 3 URLs up here. And then, of course, because I'm going to need it for my bibliography, then my what, my why, and my how. And since I am answering a why question, right? This is my why question. I am going to answer this down here in my summary in a why, what, how summary order. And don't forget, reiterate the question. Why did Rome win the wars? Rome won the Punic Wars because, and then I'm going to go right into my summary. Okay, my summary's done, Alan's summary is done, and so is Doug's. Now we're going to plug in our Sitomer. Go ahead and feel free to plug in your Sitomer. As you can see, it's a box. We've done enough practice. You should know what to do. But remember, you can use the transition tools that I showed you before. Go back and look at your other papers you've written and use those tools. Notice the sentence starters I've given you. Notice the transitions you've used. Use those, okay? Now, as far as the hook in the thesis, me, Alan, and Doug have some work to do. And if you're by yourself, you are going to be doing this work. Remember when we did this in class? How to write a general thesis? Well, you are going to do this for your new paper, your Sitomer. Don't worry about the essential question. I would have helped you by now. Why did Rome win the wars? What caused the Punic Wars? How did Hannibal almost destroy Rome? And I'm going to take these 3 and turn them into statements. And if you remember, my earlier essential question sentence says, there are many reasons why the Punic Wars were important. The Punic Wars were very important to Rome for many reasons, period. Rome won all of the wars, period. Okay, just like I did before in class with you guys, you're writing a general thesis statement. But I'm not done. You are going to be doing this and showing this to me. But you also have to write a hook. We did this in class too, remember? Are you going to ask a question? Have you ever? Are you going to give a short personal experience? When I was 8 years old, are you going to give a fact with a cite? There have been over 18 different laws that state blah, 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 according to Will Greer from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Or are you going to make a bold pronouncement? I believe everyone lies. What kind of lead hook are you going to use for yours? You're going to go down here, and you and Alan and Doug, my partners, we're going to write it down here, and we're going to show Mr. Morris. And then we're going to put it all together on our Sitomer. Our hook is going to go here. Our thesis sentences are going to go here. Notice how I have different colors for each thesis type. My subclaim paragraphs with transitions, my subclaim paragraph with transitions, my subclaim paragraph with transitions, and finally, my concluding paragraph that wraps up each paragraph of my body in 1 or less sentences. And don't forget your bibliography. That's a lot. What does all this look like when I'm done? When you're done, this is what it should look like. You're going to have a 4-point heading. Kurt Morris. I better put my partners on here. Alan Sitomer. Glad he's with me since we're writing a Sitomer. And Doug Buell. Okay. Kurt Morris, Alan Sitomer, and Doug Buell. April 28th, 2022. Social Studies, period 2. Okay. This is my 4-point heading. You will need it. Everybody's name who wrote it needs to be here. My title, you need it. This one is Anne Frank. Here's how I went with the hook. check this out. This is the hook that we wrote together and we agreed on. Have you ever been so scared that you thought for sure you were going to die and thought that thought alone drove you to hide? And then, of course, my follow-up on my hook. That's exactly what happened to Anne Frank. Okay? That's my hook. Then I go right into my essential question statement. There are many reasons that a little girl from Holland is so well known just because of a diary she got for her birthday. Then I go to my first subclaim question that I turned into a statement. The first reason is the amazing diary she kept while she was in hiding. Then, of course, my second subclaim question I've turned into a statement. Another reason is a secret room called the Annex that they hid in from the Nazis. And then finally, my last subclaim question I turned into a statement. The last reason is the horrific, devastating way she died. This right here is going to be my thesis paragraph. You need a hook and you need a thesis paragraph. 4 sentences, okay? But you know that because we've talked about this. Then we get to our first paragraph. Look at this. This is our first body paragraph of evidence. This is just your research. This is what you've got when you went and did your research on your Cornell notes. This is your summary. Notice how I have, at this point, a transition sentence starter. This is important because transition sentence starter. And finally, this aspect is important because a transition sentence starter. I get to my next body paragraph, still pretty big. Look how big this thing is. And this is just from my Cornell notes, my summary, pretty thick, full of notes. And notice my transition sentence starters. This affected her because, this is important because, and finally, this aspect is important because. And notice how these transition sentence starters keep the paragraph flowing. And of course, finally, here's the end. This is the one Doug did. This is Doug Buell doing Doug Buell. This is his summary from his Cornell notes. Notice, eventually, transition sentence starters. This is important because. And finally, this aspect means. And then our conclusion. Notice how the conclusion, therefore, Anne Frank, was so important because that is her beginning of her conclusion. Then each one of my body paragraphs is summarized in a sentence. All of this up here, see all of this red that I wrote, Kurt Morris wrote? All of that is summarized right here. Because of her astounding diary that she got for her 13th birthday and wrote almost every day about her life in hiding and her normal life before that. Notice how I summarize that entire paragraph into that sentence. Nothing new is added. I didn't say anything in that final sentence that I hadn't already gave a lot of detail on above. And then, of course, don't forget your bibliography, your MLA, which you know all about. Here's all of the information I used, and here are the places I got it from. Okay, here's mine. Boom. Here's what Alan Sitomer used. And here is what Doug Buell used. And then this here says, do you have a 4-point heading and a title? I hope so. It's up here. Do you have a hook sentence and a follow-up sentence? I hope so. Because that's what this is. These are all grades you're going to get. Do you have your claim sentence in blue, your red subclaim sentence, your purple subclaim sentence, and your orange subclaim sentence? Do you have all that? I hope so. Because that is exactly what this is. That makes up your thesis paragraph. That and your hook, the pink. Then, of course, do you have one full evidence paragraph with transitional sentence starters in black? I want them in black. And yes, I do. I did it. Alan did it in purple. And Doug did it in orange. And then, of course, do you have your conclusion? And your bibliography. Finally, capitalization, spelling, and periods, 14-point font, 1.5 spacing. This is important because this whole thing right here is going to be the script of your movie. Every single word. All right, good luck. Your paper needs to be done first before you do anything. I don't even want to hear you talk about how you're going to make your film until this paper is done and turned into me, and I've walked through it with you and graded it, and I've seen your hook and your follow-through sentence, and I've looked at your thesis before you started your Sitomer. Okay? All right, guys, good luck. Let's make this awesome. Bye.